A Vince McMahon return would endanger WWE. We'll get onto that in a moment. Plus, we have details of Sasha Banks' WWE contract negotiations and details of Sasha Banks' first possible post-WWE match. It's all in the wrestling news right now. That Vince McMahon story from this week sent genuine chills down my spine.
Yeah, the entire thought of it just seems so counteractive now that it would be disastrous.
Many believe you, Sam, that it would be.
I am a wrestling prophet.
Yeah, well, you
sent from on high.
You did book Goldberg Roman Reigns that time.
Just coming down with the 10 wrestling commandments.
Thou shalt not slap the thigh. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer talks a bit about this and said not only is it fans who are worried about it, not only is it investors, hence the drop in the stock price, but even some of Vince McMahon's nearest and dearest within the company, some like stalwart Vinnie Mac guys are going, no, that's a terrible idea.
Like, look, Tom, I know very little about investing. I'm a meme stocks guy, but I've looked at WWE from time to time and gone, you know what? It's pretty cheap right now. Maybe I could buy a couple of shares and it'd be all right and it'll go up in price. If I own WWE stock, even like 2 or 3 shares, if Vince came back, it just gets sold immediately. There's no way. It's just going to tank.
In the Observer this week, Dave Meltzer includes a quote from what he describes as a longtime supporter of Vince McMahon. He says, what if he decided to upend the entire board, because he has 80% voting stock and is still the largest owner of common stock? The class action shareholder lawsuits would cripple the entire company. The networks would balk. Fox had to get rid of Roger Ailes. I don't think they'd be favorable to his return. NBCU is a prisoner of the deal. And even if they spoke up about his TV appearances when he was in the headlines and still appearing on TV, they still were very upset with Fox about Vince appearing on TV. The shareholder revolt would endanger the entire organization. This was a terrible shot to the moving forward business as usual claim that was implemented by Stephanie Levesque and Nick Khan. Now the conspiracy theories will be all about Vince coming back.
Yeah, you thought CM Punk returning was bad.
It gets this quote is phenomenal. If he comes back, it is a scorched earth scenario.
Literally, yeah.
Unless he figures a lesser role, and how can he of all people take a lesser role? But the leak from his side is that he was given bad advice, so now he's blaming people.
Look,
that's a loaded quote from a Vince supporter from the Wrestling Observer this week.
If Vince McMahon truly loves WWE and truly wants WWE to continue as a successful wrestling operation long into the future, if you love something, set it free. It ain't going to come back to you this time, mate. But the thing is, if you come back, that's it. That's it, done. That's it. Your entire family's legacy. I can't see a way in which it does not absolutely melt down.
The documentary came out last week as well, around the same time as these rumblings. Didn't do that well ratings-wise for Vice. I think the frustration for many was there was no new ground broken about Vince McMahon. It was stories that we all already knew. I kind of saw it as a way of the wider world falling in line with the mania that is Vince McMahon, rather than something new for us as
it
fans.
was a bit of a gateway drug to more dark side of the ring style content, I feel. And it was something that was quite noticeable in the build-up, was that quite a lot of the moments, if you had been watching Dark Side of the Ring, quite a lot of the moments featured in all of the teaser spots had already been covered. And it's not surprising that, that led to a bit of backlash. But I imagine getting people to talk about Vince, about very serious matters about Vince that are close to Vince is probably nigh on an impossible task.
And many didn't take him up on the offer, didn't take Vice TV up on the offer. Chris Jericho, Jim Cornette, Eric Bischoff, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Mick Foley, Jim Ross, Jerry Briscoe, Jerry Jarrett, and Ted Mann of Wall Street Journal all were approached to do bits for the documentary. They all said no.
Because they're doing their own. No.
Yes, because, oh my gosh, a lot of documentaries for Christmas. So a lot of people turned it down because they didn't want anything to do with the documentary.
Yeah.
And nobody wants anything to do with the Vince McMahon comeback either.
Yeah. As I said, if you really truly care about this company, then it's time to just put it down. You can still support it from the sidelines, but you can't return.
Take it out your mouth.
Put it down.
Put it down.
Dead. Dead. Just wrestling the newspaper out of it.
No, I don't want to do the wrestling. One comeback that we are quite intrigued by is Sasha Banks. So we've heard this week about how she's heading to New Japan.
Yep.
She's going to be part of Wrestle Kingdom.
Yep.
We have a few more details to come.
We do. So her first post-WWE match has been revealed, and this one comes from potentially revealed anyway. It comes from Wrestling Observer, and it's essentially regarding Sasha's contract. They said, the deal is with New Japan, but would include one date for Stardom. That would be for a show that's expected in April, which will tentatively be announced on the 29th of December at the Stardom Sumo Hall show. This was the show we talked about previously, or they'd talked about previously, at the Observer, believed to be at a venue near Tokyo. They're hoping that her crossover appeal to WWE fans and Star Wars fans can help them with one major show, with the idea that that show would build the perception of the company publicly. Publicly? Yeah, publicly.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry,
right.
I felt like my words just kind of went there. Their belief is that with 5.6 million Instagram followers, 2.4 million Twitter followers, which is far more than any of their talent, she's got a gigantic mainstream appeal. And now you've got Fuwa-chan, who Stardom just used. She's got 1.1 million Twitter followers, but the difference is almost all of those are Japanese-based fans, where very few of Banks are. So it's a bit of a lightning in a bottle situation for them, and you got to think that they are going to capitalize on it. But yeah, potentially that first match is going to be revealed on the 29th of December. Maybe we'll get a Chris Jericho style video interruption. Maybe she'll be there. You know, it could be.
I think I can see it being a video.
Yeah.
Going, hey, I'm Mercedes Moné. Here I am.
The interesting thing here is that it's the fact that deals with New Japan, but will include one date for Stardom. And it's like, okay, so if her deals with New Japan, what's she going to be doing in New Japan? That's what I'm really sort of curious about.
IWGP Women's Championship.
Well, that's Stardom, though.
But she'll defend it, I think, in New Japan. I think that will be because the first ever women's championship match at Wrestle Kingdom,
and that's a way to just get so much more women's wrestling on the mat on the cards.
Absolutely, it's massive. Sasha Banks' WWE negotiations over the summer have been talked about quite heavily this week as well. The Observer saying that they reached an agreement that she would become a free agent at the start of the new year. It meant that WWE would not freeze her contract, but she'd be unable to do anything wrestling related until January. Wrestle Kingdom. Following the regime change, the two sides then began negotiating a new deal, but they fell apart on money. Sasha Banks was seeking a number along the same level as Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair.
Which I'm amazed she wasn't already on.
Me too. Those internally say that she wasn't offered numbers close to that because they believe that Sasha Banks is no longer a big star.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Mean, the booking sort of reflected it, you know, putting her down into the women's tag division with Naomi, and it just sort of felt like it was sort of like just sweep her under the rug a bit. Yeah. And I just didn't get it. And, you know, I think that this is potentially going to be a massive, you know, egg on your face situation for WWE here if everything pans out real well for Sasha.
The biggest egg.
At the same time, you know, we saw it with Cody. You know, if the company doesn't believe in you, Matt Cardona as well, nearly like everybody who left the company on their own terms and just went into the independent world and the wider world of wrestling and just reinvented and reestablished themselves and proved their worth. And I think that Sasha's somebody who didn't really need to prove her worth anyway. No. But if you're going to put her in this situation where she is going to just be having probably, you know, barn burner after barn burner, ouch.
It's going to be one of those.
Like WWE hurt itself in its confusion.
They did not like that. We'll have more wrestling news for you throughout the day via cultaholic.com. Stay safe and love you, bye.